All right, so we're going to be taking a look at dude's video, Max Vianna. He's a foreign fellow, so the actual it'll be auto dubbed as described on YouTube with English. So if it sounds a little AI generated, that's because it is. So let's check this out. And the title of this video is The Truth Nobody Says About Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Let's go.
There's no way a Mortal Kombat fan wouldn't get excited after watching a trailer like this, which simply features a collection of classic Mortal Kombat games. Obviously, my hype was through the roof, over 8,000 at the time of the state of play. When this trailer dropped, I went crazy. But then, thinking about it a little more, without the hype, thinking about the subject, I thought about a few things. I'm going to give my honest opinion on this story, and I'm going to give you a heads up, okay? I'm not happy about this release of the Mortal Kombat Classic Collection. Oh, I'm not happy, calm down. I'm not happy, it's actually pretty strong. Here's the thing, I have a slightly controversial thought. I know everyone is hyped right now, everyone is happy, it's really good, but there's another side to it that I need to talk about. I just need to talk to you, Mortal Kombat fan, who is part of the Mortal Kombat community on this channel, right? But first of all, let me remind you that the channel is sponsored by Groff Supplements. So, if you want to buy the best supplement, the E with the best cost benefit, creatine, pre-workout, vitamins, everything.
I'll just skip all that, hang on.
Okay?
There we go.
Now let's get to the subject here of the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, which brings a gigantic collection with Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 4, Mortal Kombat for the Super Nintendo, for the Game Boy Adventure. It's a bunch of really cool games, okay? These games are really cool, and we have access to all of these games now on current consoles. It's a great thing. Of course, this trailer was released at the State of Play, which is a Sony event. So, it was said there that it will only be released for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, but I believe it will obviously be released for Switch, PC, Xbox, and everything else.
Yeah, like it was only shown at Sony, but yeah, it's been literally, I think within the day it was announced that it was probably even less than that was coming to everything. Like Steam pages up and everything like that, so yeah.
Why? Because it doesn't make sense to keep it stuck on PlayStation, right? And another thing, we're going to sell it, we're going to make a profit. I'll talk about that in a little while. Oh, no, there, look, it's already available for everyone. Switch 2, Switch 3, for everyone.
Yeah,
right?
see?
So it's already in the trailer. It's going to be released for everyone. And Switch 3, I've already released it here, look, it's awesome. And then it's going to be released on Steam. Ironically, it's going to be released on Steam, right? That's right. Why do I say that on Steam? Because all of these games, all of these versions, everything you're seeing there, is already available on PC for you to play today, right? And that's how everyone plays today, right? Without paying a dime, everyone plays on their PC and that's it. But now what's going to be good? This collection will stop people from pirating, right? Or not?
Well, I mean, there's that sort of that gray area, that conversation about, like, yes, that is in theory, and I'm a big fan of emulation. I'm a big fan of game preservation, and PC is the forefront of that. PC has been keeping games alive better than any console ever could, right? Because once you emulate the hardware, then it's very easy to then obviously emulate the software, depending, I suppose, unless it's like the PS3, the cell processor. But ultimately, PC keeps stuff alive and has for decades, right? In saying that though, okay, yeah, some people find setting up that sort of thing easy, some people don't. But this isn't just the only focal point. This is what like Steven's talked about from Digital Eclipse, is that they're not just putting these games in a collection and going, here you go. They're giving you this massive experience, full brand new interviews, all that sort of stuff that's going to be included in this to really make it like a wonderful package so you can completely immerse yourself in the 2D era of MK.
The idea is that people now don't need to use an emulator to play officially to create their own content, to play with friends, etc., right? They don't need to play on an emulator anymore to be able to play on their console or directly on their PC officially. That's good, right? Now what made me happy is that there will finally be an online platform for these games. We know that sometimes the connection in Fightcade isn't that good, it gets a little complicated, but then there will be rollback, netcode to be able to play online. That's really great. But nevertheless, and I'm absolutely sure that this won't move the scene, right?
So that's kind of like, that first there is kind of like my red flag, right? I don't know if this guy is big into the competitive side of things, I'm not sure. But when I hear scene, what I'm starting to hear is, oh, is this going to push competitive play? You know, stuff like that. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care, right? Mortal Kombat's more than just, you know, playing against other people. It's also just playing the game. You know, just enjoying the game for what it is. I mean, back in those days, we didn't have online play, right? The people that are very excited about these collections played these games that probably, like, might have played in the arcade, maybe against other people, maybe, right? But ultimately, you know, what really matters here is being able to just experience these again, whether it be nostalgia reasons or whatever. To me, that's the focal point. All right, can you still play and enjoy these games, whether you got people to fight against or not? And this is where kind of like, I understand why like people get excited about online in terms of like wanting to fight other people and stuff like that, sure. And for those of us that do have friend groups that are interested in this, those of us that do want to play, you know, online against randoms and stuff like that, I'm sure there will be, okay? But at the end of the day, you know, this is not going to push the scene anywhere. It's just like, it's old school Mortal Kombat, right? But it is very popular old school Mortal Kombat because if you look at things like Fightcade. Now, Fightcade is free, right? So being honest here, the reason why Fightcade probably has the numbers it does is because it's free, right? And you can only join up to 3 rooms for free at a time, right? You can only have 3 rooms max. If you want to get more than that, then you got to pay. So, and Fightcade, like obviously, you know, Fightcade, yeah, depending on where you are in the world, can be a little bit problematic with connections, but it is a great experience. But, you know, like this is, you're not just paying for Fightcade collection here. You're getting all of these games, right, emulated to the best of their ability, and then some. Not only that, we are actually getting MK4, which is a huge boon that we've never had before. Proper arcade emulation of MK4, right? We've only had downgraded versions to whatever platforms have been out there from the arcade. And then we get all the interactive documentary, interviews, behind the scenes, artwork, music. It's going to be a whole shebang. Not to mention there's the possibility of future DLC. Not to mention hopefully one day down the track there'll be a 3D collection as well.
The scene is already tiny for the current game. Oh, and for classic games it's even smaller, much more screwed up. So, what are my expectations for this collection edition?
And when it says the scene's smaller, so we're talking, I'm assuming, competitive here. But the competitive side of any fighting game is always tiny compared to the massive bulk of the sales where everything else comes from. That's just normal, right? And who cares? Like, like to me that doesn't really matter because, like, you know, it's going to be fun to play with people from the channel, my mates and stuff. You know, in this collection, it's going to be great. We're going to push it to its limits, but I don't care about like whether or not it's pushing the fighting game scene forward. These are old ass games. These are old games, right? I don't care whether or not it does anything, right? I'm just happy that it's coming out in a collection, especially stuff that, you know, I'll be able to play. And to be fair, You can get on Fightcade, sure, and the arcade lobbies are huge. The arcade lobbies are huge in comparison, you know, like there's obviously a lot of people playing, you know, these older games, and especially the MK ones. They're not as big as some of the other ones like King of Fighters 2002 or Street Fighter Third Strike, but they're still quite big depending on the time of day. But that's the arcade versions, right? When you start filtering down to the SNES or the Mega Drive versions, there's only a tiny handful of people playing, right? Because most people are gravitating to the big one, like the you know, the actual great-great-grandfathers of these versions, the original perfect ports, the original perfect versions, sorry, of these games. And that makes a lot of sense, of course. All right. So nothing's going to be really moved anywhere, you know, unless this collection, like, you know, like I think the collection will do very well. I think it'll have a nice big spike in the beginning. It'll also have a nice over time burn, you know, because of the good word of mouth and stuff like that will push sales over time, and it'll keep just you know, not, well, maybe not trickling in, but it'll keep bringing in, you know, sales. Especially with good support. Obviously they'll launch it, there'll be a patch following up to fix any issues and whatnot that we'll discover. So, you know, it's not a brand new MK release.
People will play it during the first month. Those who buy it will obviously lose the hype, and it will sit on your shelf like the games you bought and never play. That's because it's being made by the same company that made Street Fighter, that made the Statiga Ninja game and everything else, right? Yeah, they make these ports, they know how to do it, it's really good, it's very high quality, but Street Fighter, for example, is abandoned. There's no scene for Street Fighter 2, a huge active scene that holds tournaments, makes noise. Yeah, but those nostalgic people, right? Those people who like the classic, which is really cool, but it's not something that really moves and makes a huge noise. It's very niche, it's not forgotten.
But it's not meant to move anything, right? Part of the reason too why I'm so excited about this collection is the fact that it's actually, I think it's a statement of intent, right? I've been talking about wanting a collection like this for fuck knows how long, and it came true, right? There's obviously a hunger for classic MK, but they got to start somewhere. And where do you start? You start at the foundation. You give us the 2D era. Then you move it hopefully into the 3D era and so on and so forth, right? None of this shit. The only time it would probably move the scene is if they remastered MK9, to be honest, right? Like, no, I don't think anyone is under the illusion here that suddenly, you know, like everything's just going to go absolutely batshit crazy, you know, and like MK2 Mega Drive version is going to be at the top of the Evo list. I don't think that's going to happen, right? And I don't disagree. I don't disagree, but I also don't agree with the statement, the fact that, like, you know, people play. I hear this a lot. Oh, you're just going to play for a month and leave it. You're going to play for a month and leave it, sure. But if you love classic MK, you're not going to play it just for a month, right? You're going to play it longer than that. But then again, at the same time, there's also a ton of other games out there. You could literally apply that to anything else. It's not just an exclusive thing for old games. You can literally apply that to any other game out there. If you finish a game in a week and then never touch it again for the rest of your natural life. So when I hear things like that, it's kind of, it sounds a little bit like, you know, fear mongering, or so not fear mongering, you know, dooming, you know, it's like, oh, it's gonna be dead anyway, so, you know, like.
Another thing that makes me extremely sad is that this collection has been in the works for a long time. We've been talking about this here on the channel for a while, because who remembers that a while back I was taking copyrights.
So by the way, this is a 3-week-old video, right? I've done the interview with Steven since then. They first wanted to do it, I believe, 8 odd so years ago, but it never came to fruition. So, you know, it hasn't defined what is a really long time. But secondly, they did remaster. Now, Total MK be the one to like absolutely confirm this, but they did remaster some of the old classic Mortal Kombat tunes from the classic games. And if you play those, you'll actually get hit with copyright strikes. If you play the original versions, which I have on the channel, then you don't get hit. You don't get hit at all. Right? So it sounds like he's correlating the two, going, oh, well, because I got copyright strikes with these particular music, that must mean that they were using it for the game.
Because of the Mortal Kombat songs, the classic Mortal Kombat in my videos. Remember what I said? Well, that's why they were putting it in the new game, and maybe there was some problem when registering and everything. Of course there was a problem and they released it later, but it was causing this kind of problem.
Well,
So they had been working on
that's
this
a
for a long time
that's a
before releasing
speculation
Mortal Kombat 1.
at this point.
In my head, this would be inside Mortal Kombat 1 as additional content, just like it is in Street Fighter 6, which is a competitor of Mortal Kombat 1. There are classic games that have to do with Street Fighter and KPC. There's Fatal Fury, there's classic Street Fighter, anyway, it's there. And very few people play it, and there are also separate package and collection versions for those who don't have GTER 6. I think it should be like that. This should be content, free content within Mortal Kombat 1, and also this separate version for those who don't have Mortal Kombat 1 and only want to play this version. The problem is the price. How much will this collector's version be sold for? I wonder if they'll charge it. Here in Brazil it would be around $100, which for me is already expensive. Here, I click on my buttons, okay? This should cost. It should cost Brazilians $50. We know that NetherRealm is fully aware of the Brazilian scene. They know that this is the second largest country with the most Mortal Kombat fans in the world. Everyone here is very passionate about Mortal Kombat. So, it's only fair that they also know the country's economic situation and adapt the price to the reality of this country, right? So, our $50 would be fair, considering that this is a game from so many years ago that it's just a port, right?
Well, it's not just a port, is it? Like, they're adding a whole bunch of content in it. They've actually gotten people that were part of the creation of the game, as well as, you know, like full brand new interviews and stuff like that, as well as their own interactive documentaries. If you've played the other collections, you'll understand what I'm talking about there. So it's not just that. It's not just a port, right? There's a little bit more involved with that, you know. And if it's comparable to the other collections that they brought out, the price isn't too bad at all. We're talking about a shit ton of games. Like, this isn't just 4 games. There's a whole bunch of these games. Now, at the moment, it seems like every version is going to be online playable. Right? Which is pretty impressive. I mean, maybe the handhelds. I know Total MK was saying that the handhelds may not. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's just, you know. I think that I think it'll be fine. Like, I'm not worried about the price. I don't think they're going to charge a lot.
It's not a remastered version. It's not a version. No, it's nothing. It's an improved port, right? They didn't say anything about balancing. They didn't say anything like that. Look, same graphics, same version. It's a port for current consoles, right? And then there's the online version now, which is much easier to do today, right? The online version now, today really is a more solid online version. That's it, that's the big news. So our $50 here for Brazilians, okay? But okay, if they put a price of $100 for Brazilians, still kicking the trunk, that's the maximum. But honestly, guys, I think Max Vianna is speculating here that this will come to our $50 or more. And then, we're talking about Brazil, rounding down, $250, and taking into account Warner's current situation. On the date that this video here is coming out, right? It's June 2025, guys. They owe a lot of money, and the only thing that makes a profit for them is Mortal Kombat. So, let's squeeze this orange at the lowest possible cost, with the highest possible profit, because if it's our $50, a lot of people will still buy it. I'm not.
I've seen this being talked about as well, where the claim is that this was like break glass in case of emergency type thing. I don't think so. Right? I don't think so. Because obviously they didn't just decide to start making this like 4 weeks ago or 2 months ago, right? It's obviously been in there for a while because it takes time. Not just obviously to do the game, set up the menus, make sure all the ports are working, check the online, you know, but it's all the interviews and everything like that. They've got to schedule all the timings for that, you know, record them, put them in there. Like, oh, it's just, you know, you don't make this shit overnight. Well, I understand the perception though. Yeah, sure. Like, you know, MK1's completely failed, you know, and then this suddenly comes out. But I think this was perfect timing, to be honest. When Mortal Kombat has been at its lowest for a lot of us, you know, especially us OG people that love these older games, suddenly we finally get this angel coming down from heaven going, here it is. You have been patient. Here is your gift, right? That's how it feels. No lie, that's how it feels, man.
I'm going to buy it, okay? I'm telling you, the most I'll pay for this game is $100. When there's a sale, if it's $100, I'll buy it to leave on the shelf here to say that I have it for a barbecue on a Sunday with the family and put it here to play. It's $200, I won't pay. And another thing, you know I'm not going to get paid, right? I really don't get paid. So I'm not going to get this game and I'm not going to buy it because I'm sure. If it's $100, I'll buy it, okay? That's all I have to say. Another very complicated thing is that nothing was said about crossplay. There's going to be a very good online game, awesome, and there's going to be back in the netcode. But what about crossplay? Will I be able to play against you on the PlayStation, against the Xbox guys? How will that work? You know that even in Mortal Kombat 1, which is their current game, crossplay still has some problems, right? Sometimes the Xbox guy doesn't show up for the PlayStation player, you invite them to the room, they can't join, there's an error in the invitation, I don't know what. The current game, yeah, I do a tournament for it every week and I know what that's like. So, what will it be like in this game that's just a port? How will that work? Will it be possible to watch the fight? Will there be a spectator mode too so we can at least try to watch to see if we can have a tournament, something like that? I don't know. Let's wait.
Yeah, and that'd be cool. Yeah, and I'm sure they thought about this sort of stuff as well. You know, because like I've said it before, like this MK collection for Digital Eclipse is a huge one. Like the Cowabunga one, the Atari ones, they're fantastic. Obviously the Street Fighter one was really good, but the problem with the Street Fighter one, it wasn't their fault. It was obviously coming down from the higher ups at Capcom. But the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection was literally just an arcade nod. You know, like they didn't include anything else except for literally just this specific, you know, piece of the arcade. They didn't include Street Fighter Alpha 3 Up or anything like that, right? And so, and they didn't include any home versions or anything. So for them, it was kind of like, you know, like I think it's a great collection, sure, but I also remember at the time going, oh man, I want that other version of Alpha 3, you know, with all the extra characters that we got on the PlayStation 1. And of course now with Capcom Fighting Collection 2, we got that with Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper. But this is a big collection. Like this is a really big collection, right? This is kind of like their, and I don't want to speak for them, but I just get the feeling like given what they've already produced, and it's amazing. But this is a big one, and Steven's a massive fan. It looks like there's other people at DE are massive fans of MK as well. So I think they're going all in and all hard in to make sure that, you know, this is going to really stamp and say, this is how you do it. This is how you do fighting game collections. And especially for MK, they want to be the MK one. I could be wrong here, just speculating, but if I was in their boots, I'd be like, yeah, I want our studio to be the MK collection studio, right? That you know, that people are looking to when it comes to, right, what's the next collection? What are you going to do this time? Blah, 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 right? So I don't think, you know, like minimizing it down, I don't think it's going to help.
Wait for news, but hey, sorry for the cold shower, okay? Well, after thinking about it with a little bit of hype, I started thinking about this here, and clearly they're squeezing the orange to get money out of our pockets, okay?
This is like, that's kind of a silly take. We've never had this collection ever. The closest that we've had to collections, right, was the Midway arcade collections that they brought back out, in the PS2 and the original Xbox, and they just had the arcade ROMs. We had the Mortal Kombat arcade collection, which had MK1, 2, and Ultimate. We haven't had anything else outside of, like, say, Shaolin Monks might end up with, say, MK2. Armageddon, I think, was it Armageddon that ended up with Ultimate, I think it was, in one of the versions, Ultimate MK3. So we've never had this before. Like, we've never had these home versions before. This is actually brand new, right?
Well, for me, this should be a gift after the disaster they made with Mortal Kombat 1. They promised us years of content and didn't deliver anything they promised.
Agree.
Right? Less than 2 years of content. They promised years and years, right, Ed? Damn, Ed, but that's complicated too, right? And then they didn't deliver anything to us from the years they promised. Yeah, things are looking bad for you, you know? Don't pout like that, buddy. That's right, so this should be free content for those who have Mortal Kombat 1. That's why I'm saying this, and then they
Listen, you know me, I'm not the biggest fan of MK1, but asking this to be free is wild. Right? That is wild, man.
release it for $50 for those who want to buy the package. If they do that with a DLC, then you can still do it, right? Those who have Mortal Kombat 1 can just download it. Those who don't have it can pay $50 and play it. Then I'll come back here and make a video applauding, because then the deal is fair. Now, if they come with a price tag of $250, $300, you can expect a video here. Oh, I'll be all excited. Oh. And Shibata will sing, huh? That's right. That's my opinion about this collection. It's cool to have, it's going to be expensive to buy, and I'm not going to buy it. I want to know what you think. What do you think about this? Comment down there, because I'm keeping an eye on all the comments. Don't forget to use the coupon code MAX, which is here. Oh, first link in the description, and I'll leave it at that. Leave your like, hit the like button.
So, yeah, I mean, look, it's good to obviously hear different opinions from both sides. And I'm not disagreeing, especially like, you know, you guys know my stance when it comes to like Mortal Kombat 1. You know, I've been a massive sort of negative Nancy when it comes to it, because it was an absolute pile of shit, right? Lack of support long term, like they claimed they would have for it, and it never came true. And then this rolls out, and you can easily connect the dots and go, well, they're just doing this. They're breaking the glass in case of emergency situation. But it's been in the works for a while. Like, it's actually been in the works for a while. And you know how I know it's been in the works for a while? I'm going to prove it to you, right? I'm actually going to prove it to you. Let me just show you this quickly, because I was going to do a separate video on this, and I still will. But over here on a website called Instant Gaming, right, they had a placeholder for something called Mortal Kombat Collection Online, right? And I've had this tab open probably for about a year, right? I just never got around to covering it, okay? But you'll notice here, check this out. Release date, 2023, right? So they've been working on this for a little bit, okay? This isn't something that they just got. Shit, we better quick hire someone 2 months ago and get this sorted out. This has been around for a while, and probably longer than that, perhaps, right? So, but anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. Catch you next time.